Yeah. Well, 20 years ago, you had like WorldCom, MCI WorldCom rolled out all the fiber, and
Right.
they mistimed it, right? They didn't actually have the demand; they had the supply, and now it's almost the inverse problem, where like you have so much demand,
Right.
you can't get enough compute, you can't get the GPUs, you can't have the infra, and that maybe that's why.
Right.
Um, Pod's over. We're done.
All right.
Um, all right.
What do you guys think?
Best one so far.
Welcome to the Human Unicorn Podcast. I'm Nihal. And I am incredibly lucky to have Brian Distelburger here, co-founder of Yext, amongst many things, a builder in New York tech for 2 decades.
Oof. Yes.
Right?
That's factually correct.
I mean, you came up in New York Tech when New York Tech was nothing. I mean, you came up when you started Yext, like DoubleClick was maybe like the biggest New York Tech company.
Yeah.
And you built Yext, you took that thing public. Not only that, but you have like this incredible logo on Ninth Avenue, real estate and
Yeah.
meatpacking that gets 1 billion views a day. And you're at it again.
Yep. Absolutely.
Which is wild. Well, thanks for coming on the show. We, the inspiration I told you, I think, is, we are telling stories of, the good, bad, and the ugly of building, these companies at this level. And so tell me some bad and ugly.
So we'll get into bad and ugly.
Yeah.
Before we jump into that, first off, just thank you, of course, for having me on. And I would certainly, I mean, you're part of that small group that was the early stage folks in tech a couple decades ago that really helped to build this into a thriving part of the city, which is a lot of fun. And for those of us that live and work here and plan on being here, the rest of our lives and raising kids here, I'm appreciative of folks like you and Fred Wilson, and there's a million others, but it's a lot of fun what New York Tech has become. So bad and ugly. Well, actually,
And that's a euphemism for saying you're fucking old. We're fucking old.
well, you called, yeah, we're.
But we're still at it. So anyway.
We're still at it, still
Yeah.
at the beginning. And so the bad and ugly. I mean, boy, where to start? So, I mean, for quick context on building X, we started at the end of 2006. There really wasn't much in the city. There was no tech community. To try to recruit kids, I actually would go up to. I went to Cornell, and I would go to one of the business classes. And my little shtick, my little class was called keeping kids off the street, meaning Wall Street, because like the only thing to do in New York was to like work in finance. There was no tech community, and so it's fun to be part of that kind of early side of things. And so we started Yext at the end of 2006. It started as sort of a performance advertising type company where we were focused on buying media for different verticals. So in terms of the ugly, it doesn't get much uglier than this. What we literally started doing is we tried to sell gym memberships online. That failed completely for a very silly reason, a very simple reason, is that gyms didn't have internet access at their front desks. So someone would like buy a membership immediately and then immediately go to the gym to like go work out, and the gym's, who the hell are you?
Right.
And so the way we solved that was to actually, one thing they did have, one piece of cutting edge technology they did have
Fax
at their front
machines.
desk was fax machines. Exactly right. So we were faxing.
This podcast is sponsored by eFax.
And so we literally started Yext faxing gym memberships
Yeah.
to gyms' front desks. I don't think it gets much uglier than that for a tech company.
Yeah. That's awesome. I've actually heard of that kind of fax, the digital to fax kind of. It happens still even today in healthcare, and with pharmacies and like I think, by the way, it's a great business. Any business that's still using fax machines is like ripe for like vertical AI disruption
Totally.
right now.
Totally.
And so Yext at its peak got to like how many people and how much revenue and
Yeah, we're a few
what
thousand
market cap?
people, couple billion, I think a little over, I don't know, 2.5 billion market cap. before the pandemic, and then I think it was about 3,000 people.
Yep. And then you left to start Windmill.
Windmill.
Yeah.
Yes. So I left operating role about 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And stepped off the board a couple years ago. The company right now, I think, is about 450 million of revenue.
Yeah.
And for me, in building Yext, one of the most important things I think a founder needs to get right is the people side of things. And so you talk to any founder and they'll say that. It's not like that's like some kind of great insight, but the hard part is, what do you do about it?
Right.
And it was something I always took a lot of pride in trying to, I never feel like we did things perfectly, but would try to get it right. And one of the things that I thought was frankly absurd and the most challenging part is there was literally not a single piece of technology in the sort of HR tech stack that I thought was genuinely additive in doing that. And sort of realized about a decade ago that it's for a very simple reason. And it's that all of that stuff is built for HR teams. It's not built for employees to use or managers to use. And so the idea of, let's say, something around performance management that everyone hates using and logging into is actually like insane. How are you going to have something that helps you manage the people that the people don't use? Like, what are we talking about? And so I think there's now an opportunity to rethink a lot of the technology around this to help companies, help founders, help executives, help individual employees actually sort of get the people management type stuff right.
Yep. And you saw this, you were inspired by this problem at Yext.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Very much so.
Yeah. And I guess, how are people doing this before Windmill? This is just a manual. This is just all HR and
right. So,
just like people.
Yeah. So I think there's a few different ways this happens. So there's sort of some tooling like a Lattice 15.5. There's all these like performance management modules and Rippling and Workday and all the Deal and all these different companies.
Right.
But the bigger thing, forget the tech for a second. The bigger thing is that for managers, leaders, as you're running your team, as you're running your organization, the real question to answer is, how do you have a handle on what's going on across the team, what people are doing, who's doing well, who's doing not, who needs help. And right now, there's not a single system out there that really is able to pull in context from everything that people are doing into sort of a single view, so that as a manager or leader, you really have a data-driven picture of what's going on. One of the ways we talk about it internally at Windmill is sort of like a Moneyball type approach to people management, and we don't just mean the sort of numbers of how you're going to look at things, but the valuable thing is in how you sort of re-architect the team as you grow. How do you look forward? What are you trying to accomplish in the coming months, years, where you need to make adjustments across the team?
Yep, got it. And what have you learned from Yext? Obviously a ton of scar tissue, a lot of muscle memory, but like, what are you doing differently now building Windmill versus like when you co-founded?
Yeah, so
Yext 20 years ago. Yeah.
You say it that way. Makes me feel old.
Well, you look like you're 20, so you're good, man. Yeah. You're good. Look at your hair, man. It's great.
Thanks.
I'd take that hair in a second. I tried to take some of my chest hair to put on my head. And
I'm sure there's a startup that could help you with that.
No, I didn't. But, listen, I'm going to buy that flight to Turkey soon, I think.
Is that the move? What's in Turkey?
Yeah, they do all the hair transplants. So basically, like, the funny thing is, like, you see these flights to Istanbul. It's all these like people with no hair, and then they come back with all the all the little like Band-Aids and shit. But
that's hilarious.
Yoshi. This podcast is brought to you by Head and Shoulders.
So they're doing things differently. There's a really long list there.
Yeah.
One thing is, when we were starting Yext, I didn't know anything. I didn't know anyone. And so there was no such thing as like high leverage activities.
Yeah.
Everything you're doing was extremely low leverage
Right.
and just like brute force.
Yeah.
And so this time around, I'm able to, I think, be a little bit smarter, and some things that used to be incredibly time consuming,
Yeah.
So like for us, getting our first, 20, 30 customers was not like terribly difficult. It's
Right.
not like it was, the easiest thing in the world,
Yeah.
but it was largely like just texting a bunch of friends that were, I'm very familiar with the problem.
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with a lot of people that struggle with the same things I've struggled with.
Yeah.
They've asked me for help, advice, and now I can just be like, hey, I've got a way to help you with this.
Right.
And so it's a quick and easy start. The team building side is a little different, as we're up to 13 people, and so we're adding people with like a little bit different skill sets, and I know a little bit more what to look for there. When we were starting Yext, I had a company before Yext where we got up to like 70 people, but a lot of it was sort of like more call center type
Right.
folks. It wasn't building out like a ton of, more classic knowledge workers. And so it's a little easier to build the team. It's
Yep.
a lot of people I've worked with before, know really well. So there's pros and cons. I mean, on the con side, the challenge for me is to get out of what's referred to as sort of like the expert mindset and into like the beginner mindset. And so I find myself falling into that trap, where I just think I know the answer to something.
Right.
And sometimes I'm right, but
Yep.
a lot of times it's helpful to rethink things
Yep.
from the start.
And you don't need, I like that first principles mindset, but, post AI, you don't need hundreds of people anymore, right? I mean, you can probably take this thing all the way with under 30 folks, right?
I think so. TBD. There's so many questions still to answer, but where we are as a company on a product. So on the product side, probably around the time this podcast comes out, we'll announce the ability to do what we refer to as a 6-minute performance review. So where it takes a manager 6 minutes to actually put together a performance review for an employee that's somewhere between 3 and 10x better than what they're able to do on their own. And so being able to build a product like that, I don't know, would have taken like a giant engineering team.
Right.
And it was like honestly, I don't even think it could really have been done,
Right.
Even 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And now it was, we don't have like a giant team. We did
Right.
it like pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And, feedback from customers is like through the roof.
Amazing.
It's wild.
Incredible. Looking back on your career, like, what would you say is one of your kind of biggest breaks?
Big breaks.
And this could be a mentor. This could be an event, an inflection.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I guess there's two things I'd say there. I mean, the first is, sort of the biggest, kind of break is getting a founding team right. And, starting with Howard and a couple of the other folks around our team, I thought that was, the biggest single.
How did you and
event.
Howard meet?
So we shared a mentor. So I had started a company before Yext, which packaged privacy protection software and sold it to consumers. And one of my co-founders was also the co-founder of a company. Howard had built a software consulting firm in college and sold it to that company, and then he was running that company. And this guy Jay got us together, and so we were each like sort of running one of Jay's companies, and we got to be friends and play basketball a lot, and then wanted to team we were both like sort of looking for something new.
Yeah, got
so
it.
team
So
up.
that seemed like a pretty big break, right?
Did a pretty big break.
Yeah.
for sure.
Howard Lerman's also a force of nature.
Absolutely.
He's running a company called Rome right now, and he
They-
moved to Miami, right?
He did move to
He
Miami.
left us.
He abandoned New York
Yeah.
down to Miami, and
Yeah.
I think is having a great time.
He's the only one I think is still there. Everybody else came back.
He might be
In
right.
COVID, they're like, New York's dying. Everybody go to Miami. Miami Tech's going to be awesome. And then, like, quietly the last 3 years, like,
Yeah.
you haven't heard anything. They all came back here.
Right.
Or at SF. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I don't think New York Tech's been this fun in a long, long time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of action for sure.
in terms of New York Tech, I know we're on the board of Tech NYC together. We got a mayor, a mayoral election next month. Well, by the time this pod comes out, we might already have the new mayor.
Right.
So assuming Zohran Mamdani gets elected,
Right.
Which I think is a very high probability, according to Polymarket today, it's over 90%. What do you think that, kind of, global events, specifically kind of Israel-Palestine aside, which he's getting obviously a lot of criticism for, from a New York Tech standpoint, what are you concerned about or excited about?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, there's not much I'm excited about. I'm very, very concerned.
Yeah.
And so are pretty much everyone I talk to who's leading and running tech companies in the city. This was something I didn't really understand earlier in my career, and I think was blessed to have Bloomberg as mayor for most of our time, building up Yext, who was incredibly supportive to come to office openings and whatever. But I think there's, sort of two factors, and I'll disclose, moved down to Miami at the beginning of 2019. As de Blasio was mayor for a while, I felt like the city was becoming a little bit less desirable to live in, and was starting to see this shift away from what I thought was being sort of supportive of the tech community, and in particular, people that are founding and starting things, like they're doing it because they want to. A lot of people want to solve a problem. There's a bunch of different motivations, but one of them is the financial motivation. And I do think that vilifying the folks that are financially successful is a thing that worries me quite a bit. I think assuming that people will never leave the city or something like that is, I don't think that assumption is correct from the folks I talk to and know. I worry, but the biggest impact, sort of the quality of life type stuff, is, as you're trying to recruit and hire people in New York, that is the biggest area that I worry about. I worry about police presence. I had the opportunity to spend a little bit of time with mayor candidate Mamdani before the summer, and my impression was that he was certainly not going to be very supportive of the police force, and that he was not going to make public safety a priority. And I don't think he's actively going to do things, but these things change over time. And so, I spend time on the phone with candidates like quite a bit, trying to recruit them. They want to move to New York, sometimes with their parents, talking about the city being safe. And I mean, even if it's just like big protests and stuff like that, where it's more the visuals of that and the way it's perceived. I think that's gonna be a big problem for New York Tech.
Yeah, I think that even maybe the bigger amplification of that is like what Trump and social media at large are going to make New York City to be. I mean, Trump is going to completely vilify Mamdani, as
100%.
he already is, but and New York and New Yorkers.
100%.
And then you're going to see that resonate on all the clickbait, on all the media, all the social media.
Right.
And we're going to be depicted, I think, as like Portland, like that kind of,
Right.
Whether it's, happening there or not, but like, the perception is that city's burning. And I think that's what, unfortunately, like that's what, and that doesn't help. That doesn't help you recruit. That doesn't help us raise kids. That doesn't help us, build businesses here.
Right.
So
I couldn't agree more. I think that's 100% going to happen.
Yeah, it's sad state of affairs that's going on. But tell me something. Tell me something positive. I think the Yankees are probably not going to make the playoffs. I don't really follow football anyway.
The
so
Knicks. I see
The
it
Knicks.
occasionally at Knicks games.
The Knicks.
Yeah, the Knicks are the big,
Knicks.
exciting storyline.
yeah, we got to win the East this year. I mean, we have Tatum, who's hurt, and we got Halliburton. And not that nobody should ever applaud people being hurt,
Yeah,
but it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
for us.
Gives
It's a
us
big
opportunity.
opportunity. We got. This is the year. I mean, basically, right?
This is the year. Nixon
Yeah.
26.
Yeah.
But in terms of positive, I mean, I think overall, I'm very excited about. So I moved down to Miami at the beginning of 2019, partially because I kind of, my wife and I just had a kid, and we wanted to try something a little different, and we were excited to come back. I think, particularly. We've been back since the end of 22, and I don't think I can't remember a more exciting time in the city than the past couple of years. The level of talent, there's so many different startups. And one of the reasons I love that you do this podcast in particular is the biggest thing in the city that we don't quite have enough of are sort of the late stage and like very successful companies. We have like a thriving early stage ecosystem. There's a lot of companies, there's a lot of capital. There's not that many companies that have really are like native New York companies that have gotten big. There's a handful for sure, MongoDB, Datadog, etc.
Trade Desk.
Trade Desk for sure. But there's not enough like late stage companies, and part of what comes with that is the people that have sort of gone through that journey and then can then help the earlier stage companies.
That's right.
Grow and get through that journey.
That's
where
right.
we have the talent here in the city.
That's right.
And so one of the reasons I love you do this podcast is you have on here a bunch of people that have sort of been through that journey.
Yeah.
That I'm hopeful, and I certainly see this across the folks I know that have been through the journey. Like, that if you care about New York tech, you should care about helping those startups that are starting to break out, that are starting to get traction, that are on the way to get big in any way you can.
Yeah.
And so even featuring those companies,
Yeah.
those people, so you can highlight them and connect them with, you obviously invest in a lot of these earlier stage companies that are starting to break out.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, I think, also the legends of New York kind of, Kevin Ryan, Fred Wilson, to your point,
Yeah.
They give back so much. And I think it's now a lot of our responsibility, to promote the tech ecosystem and, to be a leader here in tech as you are. Obviously, what is here's a money question for you. What is your purpose on this planet?
It's a great question. I mean, I'll give you the highest level work-wise and with my professional energy and what I'm hoping we can accomplish at Windmill. And this is, I don't have a concise explanation. What I'm hoping we can accomplish over time is to actually get more people into the right companies, in the right roles, working on the right stuff. So the majority of humans are unhappy in their job and feel unfulfilled in their job. And so I think a lot of that has to do with culture fit at companies, with the managers and leaders they're working for, and how all of that kind of stuff works. And I think we're at a unique moment in history to really be able to reinvent that. There's obviously going to be this external force of AI that sort of disrupts the workplace. And I think we're at the very beginning of possibly the largest shift in sort of workplace dynamics since the Industrial Revolution. And so, my purpose, at least like for the next decade, and where I think I can play like a really important role, is I think we have an opportunity at Windmill to sort of reinvent how that works and help solve that problem, which I don't think has been solvable before.
That's beautiful. And then what's one piece of advice you'd give to entrepreneurs today?
So, I mean, specific to New York is, so where you're getting guidance and coaching and feedback and all of that matters so much. And so I think about the people that have been helpful for me through my career, and there's a lot of people that were very helpful. It tends to be the people you build a real relationship with. Like a lot of times you'll reach out to someone who's like a domain expert in a certain area, and I'm working on this problem and I need help on this, and they can sort of give you the playbook for how to deal with that problem. I think we're in a very like different world where sort of previous playbooks around this stuff don't necessarily make as much sense. And the most important thing is developing relationships with people that they can't just like sort of give you the guidance on the problem, but understand you and the company and the other dynamics that you're dealing with to sort of help you through it.
Yeah.
And so for founders, for people building companies, try to figure out those, trusted advisors, whatever you want to call it, that can really help for a longer period of time, not just sort of transactionally.
Yeah, that's great feedback. I think also post AI, one of the things that won't go away is, and actually more value will accrue to them, are relationships, right?
Exactly.
People relationships. I mean, fast forward, few years, who knows, like Optimus, humanoids, robo-taxis, automation everywhere. People are still doing deals and hanging out with and working with people they know and they like and they respect, and that you won't be able to automate all transactions because a lot of it is just like based on trust,
right?
And those are relationships.
Totally agree.
AI is going to listen to this podcast and basically say, go fuck yourself. We can do relationships too. I don't think you can, I don't think you can.
Yeah.
We'll know in 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
I know.
I feel like we're John Connor in Terminator 2, right now. It's just like, shit, man against machine. Like what, in the sense of what is still truly unique for humans.
Right.
Not that we're fighting machines, not yet, but like, they're maybe fighting against labor, jobs reports, but like, what is truly unique at the end of the day to us being humans, and so relationships are part of that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. We think about this a lot from the workplace. Like, what's the future? What's a manager going to look like?
Yeah.
Is it going to be like a AI bot that's just sort of giving you your instruction? Are they going to be hyper personalized where, you might want Wendy Rhodes as your manager from Billions. You might want Michael Scott from The Office as like your manager. Can you like choose personas? Are there days where, you didn't sleep that great and so your manager is a little bit more softer and trying to help you through it, or days you're ready to roll and you have like a drill sergeant on your ass? What does all this look like? Like, I don't know. We spend a lot of time thinking about it. I don't think anyone knows. The only thing I feel confident about is it's going to be dramatically different from what it looks like right now.
Right. It's wild.
Wild.
Okay. Well, this is our last podcast of the world, of humanity, before the machines take over. So anyway, Brian, real pleasure to have you on the show, and honor to be your friend, and thank you for building all you've been building over the past 200 years in New York tech. and we're really excited for Windmill.
Appreciate
and
it.
we know it's going to be a huge success, and thank you so much for being on the Human Unicorn Pod.
I appreciate it. The feeling's mutual, and look forward to the next 20 years. Come on, 20 years from now.
Well, we're going to live. That's another thing. Hopefully, AI is going to figure out how to make us live until 200. So, so maybe you have another 200 years.
Perfect.
All right, we're out. Peace.
Hi, my name is Brian Distelburger. I'm co-founder of Yext and co-founder of Windmill. Welcome to the Human Unicorn Podcast.